Welcome back, Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy, and today I have 3 Kansept knives, prototypes for y'all. This one right here is the first. This is a more budget-friendly version of the Kansept Convict sheepdog knives design. The original version of this had titanium scales, and it had like a thumb nub right here that was kind of hard to deploy, in my opinion. Don't know exact price on this yet because they're not in production, and I don't know the steel of it because it's not on there because these are prototypes. You still have that same warranty / sheep's foot blade, ground nice and thin. This particular one's ground down to like 13 thousandths. Your quick specs, you have a total length of 7.5 inches, a blade length of 3.5 inches, and a grip area of 3.5 inches as well. You got a nice stonewash finish on there. I like Kansept stonewash. They do a good job with it. You have a blade hole that is easy to access on both sides. You can roll it, spotty flick it. It's a very fidgety knife, and you can also do it with the, I'm not left-handed. You can also easily do it left-handed, spotty flick it. Now, even though you can deploy it left-handed, it is tip-up right-hand carry only. I think that's a miss on their part. Close it up. You have a nice lightweight package here. Peel ply G10. I would call it medium to light traction on that peel ply. It doesn't have like really high peaks to that. T8 pivot, T6 body, and an open pillar construction. 2 standoffs in the back. You also have inset stainless steel liners that have been heavily skeletonized to bring down that weight. And your lockup on this one is about 40% and absolutely rock solid. This thing's riding on bearings. It's got a nice snappy action and very smooth on the close as well. It's gotten smoother as I've used it. You do have a sharpening choil that does clear the plunge line there. And in all the cutting, this thing performed outstanding. One thing that I did notice is that in certain cuts, I noticed that this was up a little too high, and it wasn't hurting my hand, but I could definitely feel it there. Just something to note. I just had to change my grip out a little bit, and was able to take care of that. Also, I'm not a huge fan of this pocket clip. I would have loved to see a deep carry clip on there. It just looks like a cheap parts bin clip to a really pretty cool knife. Depending on the price point of these knives, I think this could be a popular one, especially if you wanted the original Convict, but it was either out of your price range or that thumb deployment method was just not your thing. Some quick size comparisons, and then we'll go on to the next knife. This is the Ontario Rat Model 1 and Ontario Rat Model 2. So it's a lot closer to the Rat Model 2, as you can see there. So overall, like the knife. Like I said, I hope they choose either 154. I would like to see 154 CM at least on here. They use that in the past. That'll probably bring the price up a little bit, but I'd rather see that than D2. It's a stainless steel, and it holds an edge better. So that's the first one. The next one's new to me, at least. This is a Kim Nang design, model T1028A-4. I think it's a pretty cool looking knife. Got a nice broad blade on here, full flat grind, also ground nice and thin to about 14 thousandths. This thing sliced and diced like a champ. And it does have a row of jimping up here that gives you a good bit of traction. It's nice and deep cut, and it's not rounded over at all. Nice reverse tanto blade. Nice executed sharpening choil that clears that plunge all the way. And close it up. On this one you have copper scales, and it will be coming out other variations as well. The copper scales have a nice blasted stonewash finish on there, and I have noticed that besides that one little spot, I had some oil lube on my hands. Besides that, It's been holding up. I don't know if that'll keep it from patinaing longer. It seems like it is, but you know, only time will tell there. You have a nice deep carry pocket clip, but once again, this is right hand tip up only. I don't know if they don't like making them for lefties, not sure. But it goes in and out of the pocket nicely, sits nice and deep, not much sticking out of the pocket. Blade centering is good, and this is a front flipper riding on bearings, so it's a nice and snappy action. Comes out with authority, nice smooth close, not a complete drop shut, but you know, good enough for me, I think. Fairly comfortable ergos, because you do have kind of like a feeling of contoured scales, because they have this deep chamfer on both sides like that, as you can see there. You have a T8 pivot, T6 body screws once again, and a titanium backspacer with polished stainless steel liners that have been heavily skeletonized, as you can see there and there on both sides. Access to that lock bar is very nice. You can easily get your thumb right there to disengage it, and the lockup on this one is also a bank vault lockup. I mean, there's absolutely no play whatsoever in this thing. Always nice to see. And it is sitting at around 40% as well. This one was nice to use on the lighter task. But whenever I started putting a lot of pressure into shaving the wood, the way this handle gets skinny in this back area right here, that coupled with the not super slick, but you know, very smooth copper, I was having to hold on to it really tight, and it just kept feeling like it was going to twist in the hand. And as well as that, whenever I was doing the rope cutting and I was pushing down on there and pushing, I was trying different methods, this jimping was very aggressive. So pretty much anything that you're going to be putting a lot of force into, holding that jimping, you're definitely going to feel it. I always like to see the fine cut jimping, especially with the front flipper. It seems to grip the fingers good, and it doesn't tear up the hand as much, in my opinion, or just at least in the ones that I've handled. But, you know, your mileage may be different. My hands, you know, they're not the nicest looking. I wish they would have had a thumb stud on this knife. I think it would have been awesome as a thumb stud deployer. I know they wouldn't have been able to keep it out of the, well, it would have been, yeah, they wouldn't have been able to keep it out of the cutting path, and I know that bothers some people. Never has bothered me. I never had a problem with stuff getting hung up in the thumb stud in the path. So overall, I think this is a really cool one. I personally wouldn't have picked copper because this makes it overly hefty, and it makes it really butt heavy. You know, I was going to strop this knife just to see how it felt stropping it, and that back end just flew out of my hand like that, and that's where I got that little bitty cut from. But just not my favorite choice. I don't like the way my hands smell after I'm holding copper. It looks nice, but it's just not for me. I know some people love it, and that's perfectly fine. We don't all have to love the same thing. I know they're going to have other models. I think G10 as well, maybe micarta. I don't know other than that. They had sent me a picture of three of each of the knives that I'm showing y'all. So that's about all I know at this time. If I find out any more information, I'll definitely leave it in the description if I'm not able to put it in this video when I edit it. Give you a quick size comparison with the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. So I would say it's closer to the Ontario Rat Model 1. Yeah, it's definitely closer to the Ontario Rat 1. It's a good bit smaller than the Ontario Rat 2 for sure. So that is the T1028A4 Kim Ning design. Version of the Warrior model. This one's the T100551, and it also has that beautiful stone wash that they had on the other two. Being that this is not a full flat grind, it didn't slice as well as the others, but it did still slice very well. Still coming down to around 15 thousandths behind the edge, not bad whatsoever. Actually, that's great. And you have somewhat of a tanto blade shape. As you can see, it dips down right there. And this was very, very handy whenever I was doing the rope cutting, because I could use that portion and rock down if I wanted to, or pull back. I like the blade shape. It does really well for that type of stuff. And you have a nice set of flat right here to do some more power cutting as well. You do have some jimping up top, but it's pretty much aesthetic only, because not only is it sitting down right there, it is smooth. So it's a good indexing point. That's about it. You also do have a sharpening choil, but it just barely clears that plunge, as you can see. So after that first sharpening, it will widen up on you. You do have a nice precise point for piercing. Dual ambidextrous thumb studs right here that are easy to access with the thumb flick. Now the spotty flick is a little bit harder. I don't even know if I can get it. Yep, a little bit harder, mainly because on this side it sits a lot closer to the frame. But that said, you can still easily just deploy it left-handed. Not a problem whatsoever. The action on this thing is very smooth. Let's see, as you can see, and you can give it a little bit of shake and it'll go down without a problem. It's riding on ceramic bearings and a ceramic detent. And close it up. You have a pretty neutral handle. Aluminum top bolster that has been black anodized, as you can see, along with all the hardware. You have blue and black layered G10 that has this like tire tread pattern on there. I think it looks pretty cool, and it does give you some good grip to it because it is peel ply on the top. So nice and good traction on the G10. It is kind of crazy to look at. It's a 50-50 bolster pretty much. Not really 50-50, but pretty close. Usually you see the G10 or whatever the stuff is come up to about right there. Just odd to look at like that, in my opinion. You do have a lanyard hole for all the lanyard people. That back there, black G10 back spacer. You have a deep carry, black washed pocket clip. I think it looks pretty good, and I prefer this much more than the convex clip. As you can see, I think this clip would have been nice because they used that clip on both of the other knives. It does ride super deep, as you can see. I don't know if it did this on the original. I don't know if I didn't even say that. They do have a more premium version of this that came out a long time ago whenever Kansept, I think it was one of their first models. And if it was out of your reach, maybe this one would be for you. You have stainless steel liners that are pretty much polished. They have been skeletonized heavily, as you can see in there. Let's see, hopefully you can see in there. I can see it, I don't know. There you go. And on the top as well. It's a good, in my opinion, it's a good weight. Some size comparisons. You have the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. So it's once again closer to that Rat Model 1. No, it's probably right around, it's in that middle, in the middle of both of these, in my opinion. Your hardware on this, T8 pivot, T6 body screws, T6 pocket clip screws. I wish they would have countersunk those pocket clip screws and the actual clip base right there, because both of those things are a ledge for your pocket to go up on. I didn't have any problems, but my pockets aren't super thick. So, if you do have some thicker pockets, it may get caught up on that. Your lock access is nice because they have this cutout right here, so it's easy to get there. And they also have a nice chamfer on the lock bar Lockup sitting at around 50%. Nice and solid, no play whatsoever. Very, very solid on all three of these knives. Very nice to see. I gotta say, the action on this one and the on the Convict are very, very smooth. I probably carried the Convict the most out of the three, but this one came in pretty close as a close second. I think it's a fairly attractive knife. I would love to hear some of y'all opinions on which one of these is y'all favorite, and what if any of these don't do it for you at all, or if you think something needs to be changed on it. You know, I'm sure they're gonna watch this video. So some of my nitpicks on this: definitely wish they would have extended that sharpening choil, because you're gonna get a smile right after that first sharpening. Also, these aluminum bolsters are very slippery, and it's not the end of the world because you have the grip down here. So when you're deploying it, this grabs onto the hand, and when you're using it, this grabs on the hand. But when you're putting a lot of pressure, this just like slides around in the hand. So I would have much rather see that powdery finish on here that, you know, Kershaw does to theirs. It's just very, very slippery. And I'm not, like I said, a huge fan of that bolster going all the way down like that. I just think it looks a little strange. But that's just my opinion. My OCD tendencies probably taking over. Let's see if there's anything else. And maybe it would have been a little bit better if they would have brought that clip down some to where it's underneath the scales, because when I was bearing down on it, I could kind of feel the backside of that clip. So there you go. That is all three of the prototypes. Definitely interested to hear what y'all think about these. Which one was your favorite? Are you planning on picking up any of these when they come out? And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day. I will see y'all on the next one. Peace.